All right. Hello, everybody.
Here
Happy
we are.
Friday. Here we are. Welcome to this week's edition of The Exchange. Karen has a different background because you've had a very busy week, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So this week I was at Content Marketing World, which um, was the first time I was attending an event that wasn't really an insights event, but was focused on content marketers. So, and they also, it was fascinating because they, at the same time, the Content Marketing Institute also was running a marketing analytics and data science event. And there were people in our network that were there. So I kept having this like moment of, wait a minute, you write for us, like you have spoken at our events. Why are you at Content Marketing World? So anyway, really cool experience, very big show. Just really neat. Good. It was a good week.
Any key takeaways? I mean, you mentioned that the topic du jour was
Topic
was
du jour was
prevalent there as
AI.
well. Yes.
There was a keynote talk, a celebrity keynote talk, Elizabeth Banks, if you happen to know her. She's
Oh
so
yeah.
awesome. I was like fangirling like nobody's business because she was great. But she was discussing the question was posed about AI and kind of Hollywood creation and AI. And she was saying this very interesting point, which was AI is, a model that is learning from what we give it.
Mhm.
So the originality part is limited. The original creativity, originality is limited by what we've trained it. So from like a Hollywood standpoint, we should trust that what AI might spit out for a screenplay is the last 100 years worth of content, which might have, for example, male she said male on male violence, like kind of male predominant roles where there's a male antagonist and a male protagonist and that they're in an action situation, and the majority of the content that the large language models have is what's already been created. So we're not going to be using AI to push the envelope of human creativity anytime soon. So my big takeaway after hearing that and really thinking about it with my creative hat on is we really need to keep producing new and original content all around to continue to keep these large language models informed on what's new and current. But we have a lot of work to do to balance the history that it has, which is just sort of an interesting take on it. So pretty cool stuff, pretty cool big picture there.
It is. Well, and that's probably a good segue to our first topic, which is the announcement this week that ChatGPT now is real time scouring the web.
Yeah. And I don't know that everybody saw that. So why don't you share the article you read, and then, and then we can tell people if they haven't used, if it, how to do it if they haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, so it was an announcement by ChatGPT or by OpenAI um, on LinkedIn that I happened to see. That well, you're talking about the Wolfram article. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the ChatGPT announcement first, and we can go into the Wolfram article
Yeah.
because you experimented already
Yeah.
with ChatGPT, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about and
All
here's
right.
how it works.
Yeah, yeah,
So
cool.
okay,
So I think right now, if you just put in something into ChatGPT, it will, and you ask it something current, it's going to say, yeah, no, my data is only, my training data is only current through January 2022, which gives you this big sort of feeling of dissatisfaction every time. You sort of like, oh, well, that's not really helpful. Even if it is helpful, it doesn't feel current and present. But now, if you go into the settings and you toggle a beta feature for the using Bing interface, it will then be current. So it's not available to everybody. You have to have the paid subscription, and you have to go into those beta settings and toggle that on to get Bing to contribute to ChatGPT, which is what is novel and exciting. So yeah, it was really cool, and it was able to pull up something, give me information on a press release that came up last week that you had shared. So it is accurately current. And that was, I think, pretty cool. So
cool. And on Bing, so for
yes.
our Google users, it's I'm sure it's coming with Bard or whatever their new system is, but this is Bing. Um,
Yeah.
but I think that speaks to your point of okay, feeding the beast,
Yeah.
and it connects into our conversation last week around as research data becomes another spoke feeding into the hub of AI that's synthesizing this information. We're getting to the point of currency now, right? Currency means from a time standpoint, although it's data is becoming currency in the financial perspective as well. So that's interesting and exciting.
It is. It is. So so the two things we want to talk about with everybody, one, said press release, which I will mention momentarily, and then also this article Lenny found, which I'm sure we can add into the show notes, in all, and in the LinkedIn channel and all of that. It's an article that explains sort of what ChatGPT is doing, like how it works. For those of you who want to see how the sausage gets made, really good find. I don't know how you found that one. Like, curated curiosity.
Somebody sent it to me. So somebody actually, shout out to Josh Sperling at, well, we'll just say Josh Sperling, because I can't remember the name of the company. Unfortunately, it is a AI driven analytics platform. And he sent it to me, and that I shared it around with folks that were in the weeds on doing this, and everybody is like, well, yeah, this is the best thing ever. So what it was, an article by Stephen Wolfram from Wolfram Alpha, and folks in the data science arena should be very familiar with that name. One of the real pioneers and thought leaders around visualization and analytics. Heavy duty data guy, right? And analyzing. It's entitled "What is ChatGPT Doing and Why Does It Work?" It's a very lengthy article, but it's easy to absorb. The feedback that I got from developers was, wow, this is the best explanation ever. And the essence of it is that effectively it's looking for the next word. Right. By analyzing all of this text, it's looking at, okay, based on the previous words, this is the most likely next new word.
Right. And anybody who's working in predictive analytics, when I was reading it, I was thinking to myself, anybody who works in predictive analytics, this is a great article for you to kind of check out and compare your knowledge base against it, because that to me was a really interesting aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, and it puts it in interesting perspective. We think, oh, wow, this took us by surprise because it was announced so quickly. But no, when you think about it, we had text analytics, natural language processing, that was applied, autocorrect, right? The field complete, those were very early iterations of the core concept, that then combined with kind of Siri and the AI helpers, and then this next evolution. And it goes back to the point of, okay, now it's current. I think saw that there were several releases this week around image generation as well. They're fixing the wonky 6-fingered hands.
I know, that's a good thing.
Right. Right. Although or not, because that was one of the giveaways. Like, that's AI.
Right. No, those, every time I saw one, I was like, ew, look away.
Right. Right. And just let's recognize we are in this evolutionary process, right? These pragmatic applications, as we've talked about. I was just on a call with our friends at Qualitative, actually, and around they're doing some new marketing stuff. I don't want to give away the surprise. And the question, do we focus on this? Do we not? And it's an interesting question, because my belief is that we're already at the point where it's table stakes. But we're in this odd transition phase where I think you've got to call it out. Yes, we've integrated, generative AI into our platform this way, but where 3 months ago that was, oh, that's cool. Now it's like, of course you did.
Yeah. And I think that, you're really tapped into this, but my latest thinking is, we've been bombarded with new applications. Like, everybody's got something going on, right? But now the people to watch are the people who are getting funding, because now it's like, okay, so now what we need to do is stop paying attention to every new product release, because they don't all have a secret sauce. They don't all have something that's groundbreaking and really pushing us to the next big thing. So I think that's why you have that pulse to the funding space. And I think we both received the press release, the said, kind of press release that I played with ChatGPT on this morning. So hopefully, friends, you're still sending things to, or you're starting to send things to the exchange at greenbook.org, which will, start to become a feeder for Lenny and I for this show. But you want to talk about that one? Because again, this is you bring that lens to this show, and I really love to share it.
Yeah, well, although you did the summarization,
Right, right.
so
Okay,
yes,
so let me tell everybody what I did, because
okay.
if you know me, you know that, like, first of all, I call ChatGPT my good friend Chat. So like my good friend Chat and I like had a little talk this morning, and I, first wanted to just hold on 1 minute. I have a late checkout at 12:30. Thank you.
Live without a net.
Live without a net. I literally like paid for a late checkout at 12:30 so that I could stay here till 12:30, and somebody just walked through my door. So fun times. Okay. What was I saying? I was saying me and my good friend Chat had a conversation where I wanted to test this feature of the newness. So I said, I kind of said to it, there was a press release that came out for Canvas AI this week. Can you tell me what it said? And first it pulled up the press release. So again, really timely that Bing was able to pull up the press release. So I found that impressive. And then I said, can you summarize this in such a way that I can verbally share a succinct a succinct recap? And it gave me this, so I shall read it, even though this isn't for my own brain. It says, Canvas AI just bagged a cool $15 million in funding, with Fulcrum Equity Partners leading the charge. They're all about turning empathy into a superpower for business by cracking the code on customer and employee feedback. This cash injection is set to turbocharge their product development and help more Fortune 500 companies deep dive into what their stakeholders truly feel. It's an exciting chapter for understanding and engaging with audiences on a whole new level. So, by the way, thanks, Chat.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Chat, for the chat.
Thanks, Chat, for the chat. But really, it's cool that they've received this funding for
It is.
this feedback mechanism, which, if you read the full press release, you see it's just we as companies, we're sitting on a lot of customer and employee feedback,
Mhm.
and we're not activating it all as readily as we might like to. And perhaps this tool, what they're onto, is a way to activate all of that feedback that you might be sitting on. So
Yep.
tell me more. What do you know about this from an MA lens?
Yeah. Well,
Or not
first,
an MA, you know what I mean? A funding lens.
sure. Well, first, congrats to our friends at Canvas, to Jared. We've worked with them. We utilize them within Grit off and on for a few years, and helping us to deploy next generation text analytics, and that's kind of their legacy, where they came from. And to your point, the implementation of these tools isn't about better text analytics. It is about better activation. And when we look, so they're an example of that. I mean, be clear, this is a very challenging funding environment.
Mm,
Valuations are down. VCs have shifted almost all of their attention primarily to AI. Lots of AI companies getting funded. Excuse me. Um, but this wasn't like a pivot just to get money. This was they collected lots of data, and the goal of the platform is to help their clients utilize that data, get to actionable insights and activation more efficiently and more effectively, which I would argue is the entire point of all of these technological innovations. So anyone who
right.
is pivoting, not pivoting, but really focusing on how to get to that point of actionability, of speed to actionable insight, that is what every insights organization, and particularly in kind of the res tech technology space, should be focusing on. It's the right use of generative AI, at least in our world, to do that. And I think it's indicative that we'll see more of this come. There's some other companies that are in similar spaces that I'm aware of, or are close to announcing deals. They won't be mega super big capital raises like like the Qualtrics type of deals, things like that
Yeah, yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but they will be very positive for the industry to reinforce the importance. I mean, follow the money, guys. It's
yeah,
always, we get so caught up in our daily what we do,
yeah,
and
yeah,
take that wider lens. That adage of follow the money is always good advice.
yeah.
That's where things are moving. Is everything going to
Right,
work? No, that's the point of
right,
venture capital. That's
right,
why that's how it works.
right, right, right,
We're going to bet $1 million across 10 companies. Only one of
right.
those companies is going to, give us a return on the investment.
Yeah, yeah,
The other ones likely won't, but that
yeah,
one will probably give us 10 million bucks.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
the
and
odds.
yeah, and I mean, certainly we know that Qualtrics, has integrated AI
Yes.
into their systems. They've launched a lot of new AI features in their ecosystem. That's, I can't even call it a platform, right? So into their world. So the people that are leveraging that full scale for their CX work, they're already tapped into this. But this is something else for others, which I think is, is really neat, because I imagine that this company's niche is, it's going to kind of fill a void that different types of suppliers have, or different types of companies have.
Well, and you said ecosystem,
Yeah.
right? So look, Microsoft owns OpenAI, or invested in it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But,
Investor,
but there's
yeah.
an ecosystem, and they've created this extensible platform that is plugged into all types of stuff and built off
Right.
of. Google owns Bard. Meta's launching their own. Apple's launching their own, or investing in cloud, I think is what Apple's doing. Point is, these are platforms that have ecosystems of different technologies, different players, and it's all about making those things better and more effective. Who's the platform, this ecosystem player in the insights world?
Yeah.
I think Qualtrics is gunning for it.
Yeah.
So, will they ultimately be the one? I don't know, but I wouldn't bet against them. From a funding standpoint, and we see how all of these companies tend to evolve. So companies like Canvas, that's what they're going to be doing, is plugging into all of these various platforms. So Canvas will have API integrations. I don't know exactly with who they are integrated with, but there'll be more of that, right? Because they'll augment the capabilities of those platforms across the board in using unstructured data to synthesize and get to speed of insights. That's the competitive advantage. And that's the nature of our industry.
Well, and even tying it full circle back to this event that I was at this week, one of the things we talk about is just not being wasteful when it comes to content in the content world, not being wasteful when it comes to content. Like if you have a piece of content, reduce, reuse, recycle, all of the things, repurpose what you're doing, make sure you are really leveraging what you have. And I think that that's a directly applicable concept to the insight space. Like you have this information, let's make sure we are accessing it. It's why knowledge management platforms exist, right?
Yes,
we know that what we need to do as insights professionals is not let our work and the feedback that we receive go to waste, because that's just pointless. It just makes it all fall flat. So everything I think we can do to make sure that we have a sustainable but also actionable way to get into the insights we've already collected, let's do it.
And we're focused on that within Green Book, right? I mean, think about Green Book has grown into an immense repository of content. And thought leadership, and not just text. That's where we started, but we have video, we have audio, we have grit. So I think all of those things will continue to. We're certainly playing with how do we unlock the power of generative AI within our platform for users to make things easier and more actionable, and that's just going to be the nature of the world. Now that does bring, I think, a segue into our final topics. I know you got to get out, obviously.
Apparently.
Is there somebody there pointing at you saying,
they're not looking in the windows anymore? No. It just was, they were very clear. It was like 12:30 and I'm like, we'll be fine, but I cannot leave at 12 o'clock. Like I have to, anyway, it's all good, everybody. I'll get out.
So let's we'll keep this one short so you can get out and not get in trouble. Last week we talked extensively about the Echo MR expose on
Jay's stellar reporting.
Jay's stellar reporting. The next episode is out. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. You did.
It's a continuation, and I think that it definitely fit. It wasn't as shocking as the first one was. I wasn't as riveted, but that's because it was a continuation of the story, and now I am 100% ready for the next chapter. So I think next week we probably can go back there and unpack that again. So if you're not paying attention, you might want to go back and have a listen to episode 10 when we really spent a lot of time there. So and then next week maybe we'll get back to it.
Yes, I will say that this week that has been a topic of conversation in every single conversation I've had
Yeah.
with both
Yeah.
brands and suppliers.
Yeah.
And so it's weird. The Gen 2 side of the business goes in kind of just strange waves sometimes. And right now, this is one of those ways where we're working with a lot of brands.
Yeah.
We're also working with a lot of panel companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly why. It's just the way things are.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So the point that we made last week around the role of panels evolving into feeders, into AI, from
Yeah.
data quality standpoint, everybody gets that. That's where things are moving, and again highlights the imperative that we embrace this quality issue and
Yeah.
get ahead
Yeah.
of it, because the stakes are bigger than it was a bad report.
Yeah.
Well, no, now it's a bad algorithm.
Right. Right.
Right, we're contaminating with fraudulent data much
Yeah.
bigger applications. They could have much bigger implications depending upon, look, think about Department of Defense,
Yeah.
government contracts, healthcare. There are so many things you can think of to think,
Yeah.
wow, basically we're putting, we're putting sand in the gears potentially with
Yeah.
bad data. We
Yeah.
must get ahead of that. And then
Yeah.
so last thing before we go,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
QRCA. Yep.
QRCA, right? So
Yeah,
they've
stepping
joined.
up.
I know, I'm really excited about this actually. They're the 8th association partner to join the Global Data Collective, Global Data Quality Partnership. So all these organizations have joined, SMR and Insights Association, et cetera, and now QRCA is in on it. So for those of you who know, like I'm passionate about QRCA. I still volunteer for them, and that's where I've lived for years. So it's like a home association for me. So they're in on it too. And what's interesting from a data quality standpoint is we in the qualitative space have always talked about kind of problem respondents, the whole cheaters and repeaters concept. So because it's live, we're talking to people. We're not necessarily talking to bots when we're doing face-to-face in-person research, but there may be people who I know, Lenny, stop it. Don't let me go there right now. I'm not ready. But the idea that, we have these people that do game the system in that space. And then when qual starts to go, qual at scale, right, then suddenly it's introduced, well, wait a minute, like it's a little harder to catch those people who are gaming the system when we're doing qual at scale, because maybe there are bots actually feeding into one of the platforms that we use, fake pictures of ethnography shots from their kitchens or whatever. We don't know. So I'm glad they're getting in on it, because data quality is not something that's reserved only for quantitative researchers and quantitative methods. It is omnipresent. So good for them. I applaud them.
Applaud them as well. Applaud the entire initiative. All right.
Yeah.
So Karen, you got to go.
Yeah,
Safe travels.
Thank you. It's been a heck of a week. So I'm looking forward to getting back home. Yeah.
We're looking forward. Well, I'm sure Tim's looking forward to having you back home.
Yeah, you have no idea. Yes.
No, I do. When my wife goes away for a couple hours, I'm like, oh, honey, please. I can't find my keys.
Not only that, but I have aging parents that both dealt with something this week. So Tim actually, went to my parents' house to like play the role of Karen. Playing the role of Karen this week is her husband, Tim. So I don't often want to build him a monument, but today I definitely do, because he really stepped up for me while I was away. So
good.
Yeah.
Shout out to both our spouses who put up with an awful lot. So
absolutely,
Danielle, mine, and Tim for you.
Yes,
all right.
Yes, exactly.
So let's get you out of here.
Thanks,
cool everybody.
Deal. Thank you very much. And email us at theexchange@greenbook.org, and we'll see you next week. And, have a good one, right? Have a great weekend. Have a great week. And we'll see you on the other side of it.
Yeah. Everybody, we'll talk to you next month.
Cool. Next month, October. Okay. All right. Bring on the pumpkin spice latte for you, right?
My wife's getting one for me right now. Again,
excellent.
She should be sainted. All right. Everybody take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.